Hey, Bob Chaos. Okay, I guess a little bit more on bullying. Now, funny thing about bullying is it's a one-sided thing, and there could be a little bit, you could defend yourself and stuff, but basically, when something becomes a conflict, it leaves the bullying sphere and becomes a conflict. That doesn't mean there's not one right side and one wrong side. Of course, throughout history, there's many times people had every right to fight for themselves and have. And you could go back to the period when they were being bullied and say, oh, but once these other events and the conflict starts, and the sides are arranged on either side and they're attacking, then it's a it's a conflict. It's not a bullying situation. It's like the one-sidedness of the Holocaust. Hitler was obviously a bully, and more than that. The Holocaust was more than that, but it remained this one-sided conflict. And I've heard people criticize the German Jewish population for not having fought back more. But if they had seen this anti-Semitic guy rising to the top and started rioting in the streets, it would have given even more cover to the idea that, oh, well, Hitler just reacted to that, and yeah, he was hateful, so he wanted to, and blah, blah, blah. Now, they didn't know who they were dealing with. Hitler would make that stuff up, burn his own buildings down, and blame it on other people. Okay, but there is a difference, and history would have had a much more difficult time assigning the blame. And if you doubt that, you can just look closely at history of places where there really was just enough blame. But once it becomes this civil war, suddenly there's still a right, it could be a right and wrong and all of that, but it's not really the same as bullying. And this is a hard part of when people have stood up to their bully and then seek, you know, to say, hey, look, this person's a bully, and you're supposed to figure out why. And this is why often the allies become the enemies, and the enemies, become the allies, and everybody's moving around. Why? As they're trying to figure out, wait, which one is the one totally? Well, by the time there is a conflict, it is a conflict. The dynamics of a conflict take place. And this is why bullying online is different than bullying in real life. And as bullying in real life will include things like, bullying that goes on Facebook, but from people that you also go to school with. That's real life bullying. Because on the internet, you have more choice of who you interact with. And someone might be verbally bullying you, but then if you come back and say, well, no, you are this and that and the other, then it's still just words and has become a conflict. And in thinking in my own case, I realized, well, I don't, except for this one time, I don't remember ever being a victim of bullying. And yet I moved around a lot of schools, and as I was thinking about it, there were a lot of bullies that tried to make me into a victim, but I fought back right away, instinctually, before I even knew that I was standing up for myself. And so I never thought of it as bullying. I thought of those people as assholes. And it's very difficult to sort that stuff out. And when I am in the middle of it, I have a lot of forgiveness and understanding for people I think of as friends and allies who just can't sort it out or don't want to take sides or don't feel that they can. So yeah, I don't know the specifics, and I'm certainly not going to get into it. I know just enough that there's big conflicts all over, and I can't sort it out. And this is another thing why fighting bullying is a very personal responsibility. Because some people are in a position to know, even after there's been conflict, to know who is really the aggressor, who might have become an aggressor afterwards, or may even just be defending themselves and this looks like aggression. If you're close to it, then you have to have a personal responsibility, because really this is one of the things that the school administrators have trouble with, is sorting that stuff out when it's a he said kind of a thing. So oh, there's something else I was going to say on bullying. um, my grandma would say it must have been a lie, but anyway, I do believe there's a personal responsibility. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I was reading a story in the paper Friday or Saturday, and There was a girl. She had a learning disability, and she has a kind of a spasmodic problem, and this had been reported to the administrators. It was then reported to our Department of Education, and finally to the Federal Department of Education that finally came in, or maybe it was some other department, but the feds finally came in, and all the teachers are going to have training. People said, why do you need extra laws for bullying? There's already laws if it's physical. Well, you know what? Yeah, but they still get away with it. There's still these amazing atheist types in the administration that are like, oh, well, whatever. And just casting it all in the same, in the same thing. Even some kid that has a problem, like a neurological tic and a learning disability, they can't, oh, it's just all kids have to learn. Oh, they have to learn too. Oh, those have to learn. Bullshit. The problem is that people use the bullying as a reason to ignore what is real crime. Yeah, they could go in and prosecute harassment and stuff. There's so much bullying they won't want to do that because all of the basically good kids, they're just getting caught up. So yeah, when you fight back, which as I said, there's a grain of truth to fighting back. This is the problem. It does not remain a bullying situation. And if you fight back and find yourself still on the weaker side, then you have bought yourself a bigger problem. And this is sort of the issue with bullying, where someone like the Amazing Atheist and his fanboys are, well, you should fight back. Well, if you fight back, it's not going to remain bullying. Okay? So if there were bullying laws, it would involve you doing no more than defending yourself. No insults and taunts back. At the most, defending yourself. Maybe a little bit of leeway for, oh, I was really emotional because I'd just been bullied, and I thought I was in danger, possibly. But basically, the situation would have to be that it remained one-sided in terms of the aggressor, and the victim of the bullying, just like a victim of sexual harassment, would have responsibilities to go and report the situation. But for that to happen, the kids would actually have to have backup in the culture, in the school administration. You couldn't have a bunch of people like the Amazing Atheist who, the ones that don't start a low-watt internet performer career and become school administrators, as they are sometimes want to do. Those people would have to actually back those people up. They would actually have to work to report the incident, and it'll never be clean, just like sexual harassment. There'll always be a he said kind of thing. He said, she said, whatever. So yeah, I'm not obviously commenting on the details except for to say you described to me a conflict that I'm sure for the people close, they can sort it out to who's the bully and who's the not. But once it becomes a civil war and a conflict like that, then we're not analyzing it like the bully laws, if there were such, would not be engaged. We'd be back to more regular conflict resolution about how far did you go. Columbine, a lot of people want to say, well, those kids were bullied. Yeah, well, they went and killed a bunch of kids, including people that didn't bully them. See, if it became a conflict, there's no excuse there. There's no, well, we were bullied. We were fighting back. No, they killed just a bunch of people. It's sad. Maybe part of their problem was their psychological problem had to do with being bullied or whatnot. But it becomes out of the bully sphere. If the victims of the bullying go and kill a bunch of people, no, we're not going to invoke the bully laws to solve that situation. We're going to do it with regular conflict resolution, which has to do with how much did you escalate. Two people attacking each other, someone shoving each other, and then somebody's killing someone else. Okay, well, that mode of legal, that kind of a problem when legally analyzed is going to have to do more with who escalates more. Not, but they started it, and, the rest of us don't know who started it. It's hard to know when stuff started like that. So yeah, that's a difficult thing with bullying that progresses into conflict. Remember, I say this as someone who who did take that kind of thing to conflict.